Hey guys, welcome to Nine Lives Therapy. My name is Chrissy Smith, and we help reimagine health and wellness education. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can get all the notifications. And I'm so excited to continue our fun conversations with the lovely Miss Deborah Robinson. How are you doing today?
Well, when I say I'm feeling pretty good, I'm feeling pretty good, Christy. Nine
That's
Lives
awesome.
Therapy. How can you not feel good with that?
You're so cute. You're so cute. How are you feeling with all these energies going around? There sure is a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm definitely feeling it. Definitely feeling
Well,
it. And it's cool because I feel like I'm recognizing some behaviors within myself, and I'm like, not as cool as I thought I was.
well, the thing about it, that's a good thing. When I say awareness is consciousness, so thank goodness it's not continuing to stay in the unconscious so that you don't know that you're doing it like on that robotic part that can function and you don't know. So that's a good thing, being aware. Yeah, we're all feeling it. I am definitely am feeling it. So, but I'm managing well, and that's the key to it, managing well, because if I didn't know what was happening, then I would still be in that old mode of worrying and overwhelm and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? All of that. But because I know what's happening and how to make it applicable in day to day, I'm cool.
Well, we do have three big energies coming at us next week. We have the new moon, we have the solar eclipse, and we also have Mercury in retrograde. So I'm just going to let you chat with us about which one you want to talk about first and how we as a collective probably need to, maybe some things we need to look out for, maybe how we can respond to some of those energies and how we can navigate best through next week and I guess the coming month or so.
Well, it's like you said, we do have these big events that are happening, and it's three of them. And then on top of that, we have Taurus, the Taurus cycle that's going to actually start on the 20th and will go through May the 20th. So we got all of that happening. And you did mention the new moon, and the new moon is happening on the 20th of April, along with the eclipse. And it's actually happening in the very last degree of Aries. And this is actually the second new moon that has happened in Aries, because the first one, we actually talked about that in the very first video when it came to the spring equinox. So this is the second one that's happening in Aries. So anytime, to me, something happens twice, it's like you got your bullhorn out. Attention all, pay attention here. So with something happening twice in a cycle, it is really saying something. And I'll get to that as we go through explaining everything. Then we have the solar eclipse season that's happening, and that again is happening on the 20th. And the eclipse season happens every year. This one is a solar eclipse, which means the moon just passes between the sun and the earth. It won't be a total where there's total darkness, and it's called an annular eclipse. So there will be a ring light that is able to be seen. And based on the information that I've read, it's not going to really be visible here where we can see it, but there are some places that will be able to see it. And so what does that mean for us? Okay, so and then we've got Mercury retrograde on the 21st that's happening right after those two events that happen. And again, it's happening in the sign of Taurus with its pragmatic, practical, self, slow moving, slow down. So that is saying a lot within itself as well. And then it's like, how do you just manage all of this? Now, with the new moon and the eclipse both happening at the same time, it's like, wow, what in the world is going on? And the main thing is that the earth is actually in its shadow time. We've been in the winter time, and so that winter time passed when Pisces passed, and now we are balancing the light and the darkness. So that's what the eclipse are all about, because we've been in the winter stage and now we've come to the spring. So we got to have a balance with that light. So that's what this shadow time is all about. Now, because Aries has this just powerful energy that focuses on the independence, the independent person, the boldness, the courage, the leader, the pioneer, because it's focusing on all of that, it wants us to really take a look at it. And at the same time, you have all this manifestation energy. But with what's happening, you got your shadow happening over here, and it's saying, yes, this is a wonderful time to manifest. But the eclipse is saying, hold on a minute now, before you manifest. There's some prerequisites that you got to take care of before you manifest, because if you try to manifest with things that are still lingering in the past, then your manifestations aren't going to be that you truly want. So when we look at Aries and what's going on in Aries, you got Jupiter that's there, and also you have Chiron. And Chiron is about our inner child, getting this inner child healed before we move onward to these manifestations. And so here comes the big player now. You got Mercury that is in Taurus, and it's getting ready to go retrograde. Oh my goodness. And that's all about our communication. And Mercury rules the logical mind. And so it's like now it's saying that's some very heavy energy. But at the same time, to me, it's like it's just staged just perfect, because all Mercury wants us to do is to slow down. And let me give you some of the classic symptoms of what Mercury retrograde looks like.
Can you explain exactly what that is? What is a retrograde?
Okay.
Just like a real simple term for, just people that have never heard that term before, or they use it because it's the in thing to say,
No, it's not. And I'm glad you asked. It just simply means that Mercury looks like it is going backwards, but it's not. It's actually slowing down. So that's what a retrograde is, that it slows down, because normally Mercury moves faster than the Earth around the sun. But in the retrograde, it just slows down. And so symbolically, that is the time when we are calling ourselves to slow down, because things do happen. You can expect increase in delays, frustrations, miscommunications, and even technological mishaps. And it's given. People have it all the time. I've had computer glitches where somebody thought I said something, and at the same time, it is said that don't go into contract, don't sign anything at this time. However, what we are now saying to individuals, if that is what you're going to do, sign a contract, or if you're going to sign some papers for anything, make sure you read that fine print. Don't just let something come past you, because it's easy for things to actually get misconstrued, and then it's too late then. So this is that time when it's saying to us, slow down. And isn't that amazing that it's in Taurus, the slowest, the slowest people in the world.
As a Taurus?
Yes, and that's only because they use so much practicality. And that's the key word right there, practicality in everything that we're doing. Because remember, we're just coming out of this full energy with Aries. I mean, it's on. You feel empowered, you feel impact, but yet this eclipse is saying you don't have the full picture. That's what this shadow is all about. Slow down so that you can see the full picture. When you can see the full picture, then you know how to move forward. And Taurus, it craves something that it can rely on in the long haul. Now with Eclipse, because you were talking about earlier that, you are feeling these energies now, because it's known that these energies that are there, you can feel them as early as 2 to 3 weeks earlier. And then the energy gets like 6 months that goes out when it comes to the eclipse. So they last about 6 months. And then with the retrograde that's happening in Mercury, it's actually going to be there. It'll go direct on the 15th of May. Well, then at that time, you can go full steam ahead because you've taken care of those things that are in there. One thing with the new moon is all about newness, the new beginnings. And then when you add that eclipse on there, that's the part that carries us down into the shadow part. Yes, it's still new, but it's just still saying not yet, because there's some shadow work that you need to take a look at. And in this case, it goes back to self-care. Am I being my altruistic self, or do I have on a mask to be a people pleaser, to satisfy somebody for whatever they think? And then you also have to remember in Taurus, we're looking at our economics, we're looking at our agriculture, our food. All of these things are at hand now. You still have Uranus that is sitting in Taurus as well. So all of these things are culminating, and it is asking us, make sure that you do self-care during this small window of 4/21 to 5/15. Don't manifest anything right now, because there's a possibility that you might not get what you're wanting, because there is this work that we need to take care of, so that when we move full speed ahead after the 15th of May, that we will be in that alignment, and we will have taken care of the most important, and the most important is YOUME.
Mm-hmm.
You and me. And so therefore, that is something that we can actually just get excited about. Now, when you talk about the Aries energy that's big and strong, and that's that I am presence. And then when you have Taurus, their keyword is I have. Now, we can talk about needs and want. That's entirely different from I have. I have is in that present moment. And when we stay in the present moment, you can actually eliminate the needs in the wants, in the thoughts, because that's what's important when it comes to the Mercury retrograde, and Mercury being our cognitive health. What are we thinking? What are our thoughts about what I need, what I want, versus now in the present moment that I have? That's quite different. And that actually puts you in a whole different mood. And like you said, it slows you down, because then you can address those behaviors that are not aligned with the word I need,
Mm-hmm.
or I want. And it just shifts that whole energy to I have, whole practical thing. And that's what the Taurus energy is saying more than anything. And we also have our North Node that is sitting in Taurus, and opposite it is Scorpio, which is our South Node. And the North Node is all about where we're going in our future. What are we innovating? Where are our values? Because as we remember also, Venus is the ruling planet for Taurus. So what does that mean, Deborah? It means, where are we placing our value? Is the value in something else more than it is in taking care of the healings within? Because once we get healed from within, then our whole external world changes.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. The external, because we can put on that mask like everything is okay, and then everything is not okay. But this is about being your altruistic self by taking this shadow time that's coming on and saying, sit back, think about it, get your thoughts together and let those things come up so that you can get healed from them. And then whatever your plans are, then they will work like you want them to work. So that's what all this big energy is about, taking care of us so that we can manifest what we want to manifest. Because as we can see, there's a lot of things that are happening out in our world. So it's going to continue to happen. And the more we take care of our individual self, the more impactful we will be with the collective.
Awesome. So I do have one question. When you were talking about shadow work, so what does that kind of look like? Is it just you thinking about something that had happened in the past that you wish had been different? Or is it that something that maybe you're holding on to that's causing you to be a certain way? Because I don't think that a lot of people realize why they are the way that they are. And so, you know, this is why it is so important, guys, to get your birth chart read. If you are interested in getting your birth chart read, Deborah does those, and it is a nice roadmap to say, hey, these are some things that you need to start looking at. And a lot of times you kind of see patterns within yourself.
Yes.
And then once you start to see those patterns, it's like, okay, well, let me break this down a minute. Why am I doing X, Y, Z? And then you peel that onion back, and then it's just a little bit deeper of a level. Well, this is why I did that. And then you peel that onion back, and then it's just even more of a deeper level. And, you know, it's just really important right now that we try to stay in high vibration. There's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of things. And I think collectively, we not only are feeling the energies around us, but we're feeling the energies of other people. And
Yes.
if we know this information, maybe it may be a good idea for us not to go to certain places if we know that we might be triggered, or that we know that we might be testing the waters and putting ourselves in a situation
Yes.
that may cause us to react in a non-favorable way. Or
Right.
could be causing us to be in a situation where we end up losing a friendship because of it. Now, maybe the friendship needed to go, but, you know, but also maybe the relationship, you know, maybe that it sometimes people just don't know enough about the person or themselves, and then they just end up not dealing with the situation that they need to in the best way possible.
Well, you pretty much kind of touched on everything when it comes to shadow work. And I can say truly, in these 65 years, especially in the work world, because that's where I spent a lot of my adult time. And as my experience was, I dealt with a lot of adult people that were still children in their actions, in the way that they reacted to circumstances, situations. And so that just lets us know that those things that hurt us as children, and we unconsciously hold on to those things, and then you have a hard time being in relationship adult to adult because you have not dealt with those things that happened in the past. Now, when we talk about different triggers, I can get triggered by something now, and I'm more aware that, oh, that's what that was, because my thing was inadequacy. And that's because I couldn't do a lot of the playground stuff when I was growing up. And so that had made me have a belief that I was inadequate. And so putting that to rest, that I am more than adequate, because that's the opposite of feeling inadequate. And I have to be mindful when there's a room full of people, when I walk in, that that feeling does not hamper me from being social, or I'm not going to say anything. Or when you start hearing people with their credentials and their degrees or what they have accomplished in life, those are things that can cause inadequate triggers as well. However, that is what this wonderful mind is used for, as it is transformed, that when those things are heard, I automatically know that I am no longer functioning in the inadequacy mindset. And so therefore I can continue, I can walk in any room and I can feel just as important as everybody else, because everybody else in that room is important too, because I don't see myself inferior to anyone anymore. Because when you start talking to people, people tell you what they are, meaning what they do, but they don't truly tell you who they are. So it's good to know different questions that you can ask people so that you can get down to the crux of answering who you really are. So it's about being, number one, in better relationship with yourself. And I guess we've said it each time that we've done these videos, and I do repeat that a lot, because there is nothing like stillness. And some people call it meditation. It is so that these things that bothered us, and me and my sister didn't get along as little sisters together, so that was another thing. There's so many things that impacted my life as a teenager, then into my mid-age, and then now it's like having to put all those things to rest now. I can function a whole lot better. And my Mercury mind, because you have to remember too, Mercury is the messenger of the gods between both worlds, heaven and earth. That's why the twins are there, because there's two sides of us. It really is. And the more we learn of these things, the more our relationship again with ourselves, because we're healing, and then there's true growth. And one thing that I love about Taurus too, because Taurus represents earth, it is a fixed sign. Now it is stubborn. It is stubborn, but sometimes it is good to be stubborn. You just got to stay in there, that it is got to be what it has to be. And then there's that place of where, think about a bull, because that is its glyph. You don't even try to move a bull now. That's just too much. And so that is to bring self-awareness to us so that we can come into more consciousness. That's what this whole new awakening is about, so that we can come into more consciousness so that every part of our life can be impacted. Like when you did your introduction and you're talking about health, healthy mind, healthy body, and that's what we can achieve. And that's what all this work is for. When we put the investment in, then we have a new value system for ourselves.
That's right. I think one of the issues, that a lot of people don't address is abandonment issues. So, if you felt abandoned as a child, and it can be something significant as maybe you really were, physically, and maybe you grew up without your parents, or it could be as simple as a divorce, or it could be as simple as maybe you felt jealous of another sibling. That deep-seated thinking, just like what yours is, kind of evolves itself into how that person looks at themselves.
Yes.
How are they going to treat themselves as they get older? Well, what kind of relationships are they going to probably choose? They're probably going to choose relationships that leave them abandoned, because is what they are used to. Now, it's not something that they want, but energetically, that is what they're putting out there to get back because they've never done the inner work to realize, like, I have suffered from abandonment issues. Let me make sure that I forgive these people, make sure that I forgive myself for holding on to that so
Right.
I can move forward and not choose those same types of people again.
Exactly.
With the new moon coming up, do you suggest that we try to put out things that we want but not manifest them? I know that with the new moon, it's putting new energies out there, or is, since we've released the energies of the full moon, things that we no longer want or no longer serve us, that allows us for room for the new stuff coming in, but not trying to manifest too much with all that energy coming in next week. How would you suggest that people try to prepare, you know, after letting go of some energies that no longer served us? Or is this a time that maybe we need to be working a little bit deeper on those?
The or is the one.
Or, okay.
On it, because as I said, the eclipse is that indicator, that shadow work, because the moon, when it passes between the earth and the sun, then it appears that there's darkness, and we're bringing that balance. So the same is for us. The earth is balancing the light in the day because we've come out of the winter, as I said, and we're moving into the light. So the earth knows itself that there has to be a balance here. So it brings in the eclipse the same thing for us as we move ahead in those things that we have our plans for. What we are going to do is just saying, in this window of time that you've been given, even while that Mercury retrograde is happening the very next day, and to me, all of it is just so aligned. If you want to still do your new moon rituals, writing down what your wishes are, make those wishes for you. Don't make them for things that are, if you're doing a new business or if you want to get a promotion,
Okay.
don't do them with this one for this particular time, because it is focusing on the inner child.
That's
it's
awesome.
Saying that that has to be healed before you can move forward. And then the most powerful part about it is it's in the mind. That's what Mercury is all about. What are you telling yourself? You've got to be able to listen. I'll put it this way, like Deborah Silverman says, you have to become an observer of your thoughts.
Yeah.
You don't have to judge the thought. And you'll be like, ooh, who is that thinking that? Is it the voice of the critic? Or is it that voice of I am? You know, and the voice of the critic is so subtle. It's that voice that causes procrastination. It's the voice that causes overwhelm. It's the voice that causes sadness. It's the voice of I feel blank, 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 dot, 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 or I don't, dot, 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 I can't, dot, dot, dot. That's the voice of the critic. And when you begin to observe that communication, because that's what Mercury is, and believe it or not, we're computers. We compute, we communicate. So we have to look at the dynamics of what our thoughts are. And the more that we observe the thoughts, then we get to choose different. Well, what am I going to do different here? What am I going to think different? Because thought is the thing that manifests everything. And so the more we look at what it is that we're communicating with ourselves, then the more we will come to the realization of, again, and I've said this before too, how magical we are.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Deborah, we are almost out of time today. I would love for people to get in touch with you. Do you want them to tell you how they can contact you on your email? And I'll make sure I leave that in the description.
I sure will. Well, you can contact me at RROBIN12 @bellsouth.net.
R. Robin.
Yep, just drop me an email and I will communicate back. I'm very strong on communicating back.
All right. With the inner child work, there are a few hypnosis type meditations that I have used in the past. I'm going to put those down in the description as well. Deborah, do you have any that you would like to share too? If so, you can email those to me. You know, and if it resonates with you, you know, please do try to do some of that inner work. It does help. You are not alone in how you're feeling. You are not going crazy. This is
No,
for you to release these things so that you can be put on the path that you need to be on for your soul evolution.
I agree.
All
100%.
right. Well, you have a magical day, and best of luck with you and all the energies next week. I think that, you know, mindset is 100% of what we need in our pockets in order to be successful next week.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.